32 Pacific Daylight Savings Time. The sun's still visible to the west. It's the 16th of March, 2026. Another 4 days plus, and we are going to have the spring equinox. What you're looking at, of course, is Jupiter. Not a particularly good view, but not a bad view either. Let's set ourselves up to make sure we're at our standard magnification of 450x. And let's do something here that should be of interest. All right. Right now, you can see down here we have our default display settings. Now, occasionally, if I get, I'll take a frame, a good frame, the best frame I can find off of a real-time imaging sequence. And then possibly if it's a single frame, I'll just go ahead and manipulate various settings that are available in the Microsoft software. On this occasion, however, I'm going to play with the various settings that are available right in the ASI capture program. I'm using a Zewo ASI 533 MC Pro. The cooling temperature is off, but the temperature is at 22.8 degrees. I don't think they have a setting in this for cooling the unit. I'm not sure why, but they don't have a setting in ASI capture. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to play with some settings here. Let's see what happens. If we go to sun color, apparently it darkens the background sky. Filters out luminosities associated with sunlight. Okay, display saturation is at 0. As you can see, brightness is at 1, contrast is at 1, and display gamma is at 1. Let's drop them, each one down a little bit by 50%. So we just saw what happened when I changed display gamma to 0.5, back up to 1, and up to 1.5. Apparently it just affects the brightness of the screen in some way. Now let's go down here to display saturation, drop it down somewhere near 50% to minus 52, and up to plus 51, and stick with that. I would say at this point we haven't found anything of any particular note. And of course I'm saving the best for last. Let's go to display brightness. Down to 50%. Maybe we could play with the exposure time and bring it back up. Up 50%. Let's put it back down. So playing with these various default settings, I can always reset it using the default settings. Now watch what happens if I change contrast. I drop the contrast all the way down. Basically, it is allowing, I believe at this point, everything to be completely unadjusted in terms of contrast. If I go all the way up to 10, we're seeing a huge effect on contrast. Now, this is a setting that I probably should be using in the future for Jupiter, anyway, and the planets, because look how much sharper the equatorial belts are. Southern to the left, northern to the right. You can make out occasionally frames where the northern and southern, further north and south belts, I keep forgetting the name of the temperate belts are located. All right, let's see if we can play with this a little bit. If I drop back down to 0.74, all right, that's midway up to maximum display contrast. And then I drop back down to 0.25 roughly, and this is, we soften up the image. So let's just say I put it right in the middle, 5.0. I'm actually kind of pleased with that. So 5.0 gives us a fairly good high contrast view of the belts of Jupiter, and it gives something comparable to what I usually get when I play with the contrast on a single frame. Of course, we're not getting a single frame here. the atmosphere is too unstable, the focal ratio is too tight, which means the focus point of the parabolic mirror is so precise that even if you set the focus perfectly for a particular study, what will happen is there'll be all kinds of slight variations in the atmosphere that'll throw it in and out of focus. All right, so the contrast setting is quite good. Now is 7:47 on the 16th of March, 2026. This is a tag on to the previous video where I experimented with the various settings. I've left, excuse me, the settings pretty much where I left them off before. These are modified settings. The only one I've really changed is the display contrast, increasing it up to from 1 to 5.0. This basically makes every dark area more pronounced. And I think it also may brighten the brighter areas on the globe of Jupiter. Right now, of course, we're seeing the pixelation, which is 0.5 arc seconds in resolution. The scope itself is only capable of, calculated recently, Dawes limits is 0.77 arc seconds. So if we were to reduce the magnification from 450 to about 350, let's go down about 60 or 70%. Let's go to 200%. I don't believe we're seeing the matrix anymore of the pixelization. However, we're not getting quite as good of a large view. Let's push it up to 250 since we're experimenting. And we are now seeing the matrix. The equatorial belts are much more contrasty now. I'm not sure that if you look at the bouncing around of the globe of Jupiter in the screen, you're getting an idea of the amount of atmospheric disturbance going on, which, as I explained earlier, causes variations in focus. On a long focus scope, the variation probably wouldn't really matter, but this is an f4 scope with a large central obstruction. Now, the obstruction can actually improve through diffraction the resolution a little bit, but what it does tend to do is brighten. It tends to cast more light, so you lose contrast. So you can get a little more resolution with obstruction, but you also lose contrast, which I can now correct for to some degree using the display contrast by remembering to set it to 5.0 whenever I do planetary work. I will not make any such adjustments for the deep sky studies. I want to keep everything as consistent as possible to document the series throughout the NGC catalog from 1 to 7480. And now we're going to be launching the NGC. I believe it's going to be 2650 to 2699 this evening. I better double check. I don't want to reproduce further previous efforts. So with that, I am going to say once again, Carpe Noctem.